Welcome to Love for Life, the podcast for modern couples who want to build relationships that last while raising families that thrive.
We're Nichole and Ben Farrow. Nichole's the expert and I am the other half of this partnership, bringing the everyday perspective of a guy doing the work alongside you.
Every week we cut through the BS and give you the real tools for real life, because your relationship isn't just personal, it's the foundation for everything. Let's get into it. I've got a question.
Go ahead.
As it's Valentine's in a couple of days, I thought I would start by asking a question. How much on average do you think a couple spends on Valentine's Day?
It depends if they're bought into it or not. Some people just buy a card. Some people do a card and flowers. Some people do card, flowers, presents. Some people do card, flowers, presents, meal. So some people do holidays. Anyway, on average, two people, meals more expensive on Valentine's Day. Most people I'd say will go out for at least a meal. So you're looking at like 100, maybe 120 quid for the pair of you for a meal. So I'd say like on average, it's got to be like, I'd say 100 quid. Let's just keep it flat because there'll be some people who won't do that.
Okay, £143.
I weren't too far off.
No, you're pretty good at this actually. So, couples spend on average around 143 quid to go out or to spoil each other on Valentine's. Does that surprise you?
Yes and no. Yes, because that's a lot of money. Spoiling each other. I mean, I'm not really a big one for Valentine's Day.
No, I've noticed.
I still get you something, but I just think it is another one of the American traditions, isn't it, that's sort of rolled across here. And I do think it's it's just a money spinner. And I detest, with a passion, restaurants that do Valentine's specials and charge you through the arse for it. Because it's just not needed. It's just, if they just treat it as another day where people are coming out to have a meal, I get that there'll be more people, there's more footfall, but that's earning you more money there. You don't need to then charge people more money for it. I say like, oh, you can have your meal with a glass of champagne and something else for XYZ, and you're like, oh, that's a bargain. Whereas, again, you normally wouldn't go out and have champagne with a meal or whatever, so you'd go out and have like a glass of wine or a bottle of wine or whatever. So I detest the ridiculousness of spending over the odds on it, but we'll still do that, unfortunately.
We, as in the public.
Yeah, I think the public do still do it. So yeah, I mean, I normally get you like flowers, don't I? On Valentine's, and a card. That's nice. Like I should be having a Ferrari.
Or being whisked away to somewhere romantic.
Yeah. But this is the thing, it's always the guy buying the flowers, it's always the guy whisking the woman away. Why don't the woman do it for the men? So yeah. Why is the onus on the men?
Because we do so much more for you throughout the year.
Yeah, I suppose. Makes sense. I'll shut up.
Because who put on Christmas?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that you think it's just an American, thing that we now do. Do you actually know where it came from?
No, I don't. No, actually, I don't.
So, it came from a marketing campaign from 1861.
Was it Clinton's cards?
No.
No? Okay.
It was Richard Cadbury. The fancy box of chocolates campaign literally invented the whole romantic day that is now Valentine's.
That's like Coca-Cola taking over Santa.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was green originally, wasn't he? And then Coca-Cola put him in a red suit and it just took
Coca-Cola red. Yeah. So the psychology of expensive gifts equals oxytocin, and we think we've fixed something by giving chocolate.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And then it kind of created this sort of cultural pressure to perform love through consumption instead of connection, basically.
That's a good way of putting it, love through consumption as opposed to connection. Never thought of it like that.
Well, it is a bit forced. That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah.
It does feel forced that you have to do it on this one day. You can show that you love one another and you appreciate the other person. And actually, if you are feeling loved and appreciated all year round, I'm not sure you feel the need to celebrate Valentine's. I think if you're not feeling like you've been loved and appreciated all year round, then I think that's when people put more emphasis on Valentine's and want to be spoiled at Valentine's or Mother's Day or birthdays or Christmas, because it's like, I work my arse off and I don't feel like I put so much into this relationship and I don't feel like I get it back and I don't feel like I'm seen and heard. And therefore they kind of cling on to those dates in which there is this sort of public performance of how much you love the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like you're not getting any other day of the year.
Yeah.
So.
And that's it, isn't it? It feels like it's constricted to one day of the year, whereas exactly that, if you did those sort of, I mean, I suppose this is why, but it's mad, isn't it, that you think like new relationships, Valentine's Day's a big thing, whereas I guess it is the grand gestures, but normally speaking with new relationships you're doing a lot more. So you are spending more time together, you are going on little trips and holidays, and you are like splashing out and going on nice meals randomly. So really Valentine's Day is probably less necessary for newer relationships. Whereas more long-standing relationships where people are comfortable and they don't necessarily feel like they need to be in each other's pockets or don't spend as much time together, they're probably the ones that actually do need Valentine's Day. They do need that forced appreciation because there may well not be it on the regular.
That's a good point, actually, because I used to have the impression, I think it's actually my mum's point of view, actually, and I don't think I'd questioned it for a while, that like Valentine's is for when you wanted to send someone a Valentine's card anonymously and say that you had feelings for someone, and that it was for that kind of reason, and then it was maybe for new relationships. But actually, I think you've got a really good point that at the start of a new relationship, you are putting the effort in, you are dating really still, and trying to put your best foot forward, and you are still trying to impress. And so actually, this is what I'm saying. I don't think that it's as needed, and I think it gets more appreciated the longer you've been together, and when maybe you're not feeling that. But then I would also argue, and I know it's easier said than done, that when you're together, that you should be putting that effort in and making that effort throughout the year, and not just Valentine's. And actually, if you surprised me with a romantic trip and it wasn't Valentine's and it was just because you loved me and you wanted to spend time with me, that would go a lot further than you just doing it for Valentine's. Although I don't get me wrong, I wouldn't turn it down for Valentine's either. I don't want to give you any.
Don't do a gift horse in the mouth, though.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's that putting the effort in elsewhere.
Yeah.
Other times of the year.
No, I think that's
otherwise it does feel a bit like box ticking.
Yeah. Yeah. I like you say, I think it would hold more weight if there was like let's go out, and I mean, again, you should have times throughout the year where you celebrate wins anyway. So, like, normally speaking, if we have something that goes well, obviously you have birthdays and bits like that. But when there's big wins, celebrating them together is important because ultimately it's a big win for both of you. Some people don't do that.
No, and also sometimes you don't want it off the back of a win. You just want it because you love someone and you want to spend time with that person. And that's what you used to do at the start, isn't it? You used to just go like, I want to go and explore. I want to have adventures. I want to, you're still kind of in that discovery phase of your relationship. There's a lot of variety. There's a lot of excitement. There's like, you can't get enough of one another. You want to go and explore and experience things together. And that's what sort of becomes more difficult, I guess, when you have more responsibilities of work or kids or commitments or whatever. But even so, having those moments, doing those things, planning those things in, I mean, that was really I know last week we were mentioning our New Year's resolutions and how they were going, but that was one of the things that we both said about having more fun and doing more things and having more experiences this year, because we've spent a lot of time working and putting the kids first. And actually, it's how do you find that time for us and for each other, which we do on a regular, but like to actually go off and do things outside of the house and without the children.
Yeah, that last comment is the one that I was about to pick up on, is with the kids. Because Valentine's Day is a day that people have for just them. Whereas a lot of the time, if we want to do something like you just said about going exploring and doing those new things and going away for a trip, when you have children, it's a lot harder because you have to like either factor in the fact that there's going to be more than two of you, or you have to, or that you have to find someone to do the babysitting. If you haven't got family that are supportive around you, that are willing to step in and give you that time together, then you've got to take your child with you as well, and then it doesn't feel as much as it's just you.
Quite so romantic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when you've got you can go out and have a lovely day by the pool, and then you're going to go and have a nice dinner as a 3 or a 4 or a 5, and then you've got to go back to the room by 8 o'clock because everyone's got to be in bed.
Yeah, and you will have been interrupted during. You can't have a conversation because you're getting interrupted by the children. And
can I have an ice cream? Can I have this toy? I want to go here. I want to go there. So I do think that when you haven't got children, again, Valentine's Day isn't as necessary. When you're in the early parts of a relationship, Valentine's isn't as necessary, but you feel it is even more necessary because you need to show these grand gestures to the person you're trying to woo.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. We stop wooing each other.
Yes.
Once you feel like you've caught your fish, you don't bother to like.
Yeah, keep net.
Yeah, you've got to keep net. You don't. Oh no. And so you don't dangle your rod, but that's going to sound really dodgy.
You don't dip your rod in the water.
No, you don't try and entice it anymore, do you?
No.
Because you've got it in the net.
You little worm.
This is a terrible analogy. I'm very sorry about.
No, this is the best analogy. This is why I do the analogies.
I do have those moments with my analogies. They do go a little bit.
Yeah, they go so left field.
Yeah, I do it with clients as well.
Yeah.
Luckily, I've been, I kind of wait until I've been working with them for a while before I start using analogies so they know me.
Yeah, just in case.
Because they're just a bit.
You've got your wife and you keep net.
Yeah.
Now you've got a worm on the hook. You need to throw it back.
No. We're not encouraging that, right? So, but then does it land? Does it feel performative? And arguably, the other advice that I see a lot is, everyone just needs to go and have a date night. And again, that can be quite performative if it's not around real connection. If you're going out for a date night, but it feels forced and it feels like you're really stressed leaving the house and you're worrying about Johnny's got a temperature and you've got to get up for work tomorrow and you're tired and you're talking at dinner about the children anyway or work, whatever. Like, is it just, again, performative and not actual connection?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would go as far as to say that the advice that I see online so much is like, you just have a date night. Just have a date night every week or every month and it'll fix your relationship. And it doesn't if it's not got the right intent and it's not been thought through.
How many of those things that you just listed do you think you're guilty of doing?
What do you mean?
So with a date night, you just said you don't want it to be performative. So I'm just going to move this quickly. You don't want it to be performative because Johnny's got a temperature, or you're worried about work, or you're talking about the kids at dinner, or something like that. How many of them do you reckon you're guilty of?
Oh, probably all of them. All of them, easily.
And this is the thing. It's so easily done, and you don't realise. So it's not a case of it's performative. It's a case of you can have something set up and have the best will in the world, but then there will be things that come up, and you feel pressured, like you said about the pressure leaving the house. You feel pressured that shit. This is our night, and we've waited for this night for a month or a couple of weeks or whatever it be. And you're like, I've been really looking forward to this. It's non-performative. And then something happens and your mind's elsewhere, but you still feel like you have to go through with it because you've waited all that time and you've like sorted. And it's So all of a sudden, like you say, it shouldn't be performative, but it can shift really quickly because you could come home and be really tired. You could be like the kids could be ill or whatever it may be. So all of a sudden, it goes from being a case of you wanting to spend time together, having the best will in the world, and wanting to enjoy being around each other, to then it being a case of we need to do this because if we don't, then we haven't done it, and it then becomes performative, and then you're like, it's not got the same weight all of a sudden. So it can be a 10-minute shift, and it changes.
That's true. The other thing as well is, though, I think that we need to not beat ourselves up if we do. It can't be that, oh, you can't talk about the kids, or you can't talk about, like, it's supposed to be a opportunity to reconnect. The problem becomes, I think, when you're going through the motions, but you're not really connecting. So you can still go on date nights and feel like roommates. You can love bomb somebody with loads of romantic gestures, but not actually create real deep connection, because everything that you're doing is just creating loads of distractions and doesn't allow you to actually like connect to the individual. Or you could be sending stuff instead of giving your presence and your time and your attention. So flowers and chocolates are great, but if you're then not following it up with real emotional availability and connection, then it's what's it for kind of thing. What my point is it's not going to close the gap.
Yeah.
And the same can be said for if you are under immense amount of pressure, sometimes then feeling like, oh, but I have to go on this date night with my spouse because it's in the diary and we have to do it and we've got a babysitter, but then your head's not in the game, like you can't switch off from work. All you're going to do is then be worrying about what you could be doing when that time is dead. Actually, is it the right time? I guess my point is that date nights, chocolates and flowers don't solve anything unless you are putting in unless you kind of have that connection that you're constantly maintaining. And it doesn't have to be the big gestures and it doesn't have to be the date nights. It's the small, constantly coming back to one another. It is the physical touch. It is the emotional connection. It is knowing what's going on for your partner and what they're dealing with and helping them figure that out. And it is having a laugh, and it is doing those little gestures for them. And it's that then keeps that connection alive. So then when you do go on a date and you do find the time, then like it's worthwhile. It's not a fix.
Yeah. What's the other thing that people think about for Valentine's as well?
Sex.
Yeah. It's the amount of people that feel that they have to perform, if that makes sense. Not like, but you know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
so,
but I was smiling when you were saying earlier about performing and
yeah.
in your head being somewhere else, and I instantly went to sex.
Yeah.
Of you may be going through the motions, but you're not mentally and emotionally involved in it. Then it's pretty transactional.
Yeah, and that was my next point, was the fact that as much as, again, Valentine's Day, I don't like it for the fact of it being transactional and being, you have to come here and you have to have this meal with this bottle of champagne because it's Valentine's Day. Sex is very much the same. People feel like, shit, it's Valentine's Day, that means we're going to have sex. And especially for obviously people that are in sexless relationships, it becomes a point where they are like, birthdays, Christmas, Valentine's Day, potentially. I mean, obviously Christmas and Valentine's Day are fairly close together. So you could be going a really long period of time. But yeah, depending on when your birthday is. So it does become, again, a very transactional thing. And as soon as it becomes transactional, you take out that emotional, what's the point? Because you are literally just a body at that point, you know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds really bad, but you're just there for the sake of it. You are literally metaphorically going through the motions.
Yeah. And the thing is it has dropped off because, so weekly sexual activity among adults, so age between 18 and 64, okay, has dropped by how much? It has dropped from 55% in the 90s, in 1990.
So, sorry, just go through that again.
Weekly sexual activity,
right? Yeah.
for amongst adults 18 to 64 dropped from 55% in 1990 to 37% in the latest stats that were released last year.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I suppose we're getting... People in their 60s would have been alive during the... Like, what they would have been... At a good point during the 70s, 80s, wouldn't they? So you'll probably find that that would have been... That may well be, like, bulking the stats up a bit. Like the like free sex and all that sort of stuff in
I see what you're saying.
70s, 80s. So, yeah, those people that were of that generation, obviously, more like younger generations, they're not as bothered. So, actually, I think the older generations are probably carrying the torch on that one.
Well, 25% of Gen Z adults report never experiencing sex with a partner.
20%.
25%.
So a quarter of Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
adults.
Yeah.
What are we deeming as an adult?
Over 18.
I've never had
Sex with a partner.
Wow. Oh my days. Okay, that's a wild stat. I never thought I'd hear.
Mm-hmm. And for married couples between the same age group, so 18 to 64, weekly sex dropped from 59% to 49% since 1996. So in the last 20 years, it's dropped by 20%. No, 10%, sorry. 10%.
No, it's 30 years. 1996, isn't it?
96, 2006.
It's 30 years, love.
30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the last 30 years, it's dropped 10%.
Yeah, that's... I mean, obviously, if it was only 20 years, it'd be worse. But, yeah, again, from 1996 into the 2000s, I think, from the... Like, from that turn of Y2K, everything's been steadily getting harder, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Something that... something's clearly haven't. So, yeah, I think that life's got a lot more busy, a lot more expensive, work's then increased. So you've got a lot of external factors. So
there's a lot more pressure on couples and families today than there was back in 1996, that's for sure. It's a different world we live in.
That was the baby boomers, wasn't it?
Mm.
So that's why I think at that period of time, it was... Your wages were better, houses were a hell of a lot cheaper. I think the ratio between wages to property costs was 4 to 1 or something. So it's like your wages might be, like 20 grand a year, but the cost of a house was, like, a good house would be like 80 grand.
Mm.
Whereas now it's like you might be earning £34,000 a year, but the cost of a 3-bedroom house is 450 grand.
Mm.
So there's a massive disparity in what people are earning, what they can afford, and that has a big knock-on effect to people's like ability to have sex, if that makes sense, because you're just constantly stressed.
Mm.
So, sorry, went off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't I?
Well, a little. So speaking of Gen Z as well, though, in terms of, we're saying 25% haven't had any sexual partners. Interestingly, 65% of Gen Z men want meaningful conversations, but 42% of Gen Z women feel men don't want deep talks. So there's obviously a communication issue here as well. So in terms of the connection, which is exactly what we were talking about the fact that, with the best one in the world, you can go on a date night in a couple of days' time, you can buy flowers and you can buy chocolate, but if you're feeling like the emotional labour or the physical labour within your relationship is not fair, or that you're not seen, or you're not heard, or you're not appreciated, or you're feeling resentful, or you're feeling too much pressure at work, it's just going to not land where you want it to. So the point is that it's maintaining that connection throughout that's then going to make for a great Valentine's or a great romantic gesture at any other time of the year, as opposed to just thinking, oh, we can just go on a date night and it will just solve everything. It just doesn't. You've got to keep that connection up throughout the relationship, and it's not easily done because of all the pressure and because of all the, you know, the external environmental changes that you just mentioned, Ben. But the point is that if you want this relationship to work, if you want to be happy with one another and create the life that you want to live together, then you have to find the time to put the work in.
Yeah,
and it doesn't need to be onerous.
No, definitely, I definitely agree there. The meaningful conversation one. I do think that Gen Z are more not what's the word I'm looking for? Not empathetic. I'd say they are probably more empathetic because you've got a lot more inclusion. But I do think Gen Z are going to be thinkers, like the thinking generation, if that makes sense. And I do think they need more connection.
I think we all do, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think millennials and Gen Z and everyone needs more connection. We need more human interaction. I think that's where a lot of the issues for today and the stress and the strain that people are under is because there is a lack of community, because there is a lack of connection and support out there, and we're all feeling like we have to do everything ourselves and on our own.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of why people feel tapped out and exhausted and, you know, worn out by life, to be honest, and that they're struggling to find that time, and why relationships are struggling. I saw something recently, actually, where this guy was talking about, it was on Diary of a CEO, and I can't remember who the guy was. I'll have to look it up. But he was saying that years ago, it's this work ethic that we've got, that we have to constantly be working, and it's completely screwing with everything because our ancestors hunted once a week that fed the community then for the week. You know, you might go out for a couple of hours and gather and forage, and then that was it. The rest of the time you sat around and you talked and you shared stories and you had sex and you interacted with other people. You weren't constantly working, and now we're constantly working, and it's not even 9 to 5 anymore. Now it's like there's no switch off for it. So that's created this huge change in the amount of time and energy we have left to invest in ourselves and in the people that we love. So then, does it just come down to, all I can do is get you some flowers on the way home because it's Valentine's, but I don't have the mental, emotional capacity to actually show up for you right now. And we put so much of our time and effort and energy into being the best we can at work. And then we give our partners whatever's left at the end of the day. And we're all guilty of that, unless you really hate your job and you're doing the bare minimum and you've checked out. But genuinely, but then you're probably not a very happy person at home either. But we give so much outside of ourselves to other places, but where we forget to nurture it and to look after it is in the relationships that we have at home.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they're the ones that springboard your success in work and health and everything else.
Yeah.
As the stats, say, those who invest in their relationship, who take care of their relationship, are 6 times wealthier, healthier, and live 4 years longer. So yeah.
Good stats again.
Yeah.
It's been a stat-heavy one, isn't it?
Yeah, well...
Getting back into it.
I do love a stat. And when it's the listener questions, we don't get so many stats, so...
That's true. That is true.
We do love hearing from you guys as well, though. We love the listener questions. But then, I do I just think, particularly on this subject, it's so important to just not rely on Valentine's or rely on a date night and think that's going to fix everything. It's just not.
Yeah. It will help in the right circumstances.
Yeah, in the right circumstances. Because actually just being more present and being more available and even touching each other more. 87% of people rate touch as extremely important, and it is. It's fundamental. So holding hands, giving each other a kiss, as we've said, men who kiss their wives before they leave for work in the morning live 6 years longer. We need to be physically around people, and that's how we release oxytocin and all those kind of, get rid of cortisol.
Physical touch as well.
Physical touch, this is what I'm saying. Physical touch is so important. For men especially, they need physical touch to feel to feel loved, and women need emotional connection in order to want to have physical touch. So it's both.
Yeah, and there's the thing I was watching the other day where the lady was explaining about like sex and how men need the physical contact and the physical connection through sex, and like say women need the emotional connection, and then as soon as one of them drops off, it has this horrendous loop that just compounds, and one doesn't feel their needs being met, they then shut down, they then don't do what they feel the other person needs, and it doesn't matter if it's man or woman, it then just gets worse and worse and worse. So yeah, it's very important, and if you feel like there's a problem, then having that open communication and working towards repair and getting that back on track, massively important for both of you.
Exactly. So, key takeaways. Date nights are maintenance, they are not medicine. You cannot repair a relationship through a date night. It takes a lot more than that.
That's a quote. Then maintenance, not medicine.
Yeah.
Ooh. Fire.
And your nervous system has the ability to just veto any progress that can be made. So you have to put the effort in elsewhere. Small daily gestures over grand romantic performances.
Yeah. Don't fill a room with roses if you've just been an arsehole for 364 days of the year.
I mean, start with that, but then follow it up with more.
Yeah, but that's it exactly. Don't think a room of roses is going to be a panty dropper. You have to. You can't go like, here's this, let's go to bed. It's not how it works.
And touch.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
Well, again, hopefully you have a lovely Valentine's Day, and this has helped you with your choices as to what you're going to do. It might be too late for some.
It's never too late.
It's still got 2 days. We hope you enjoyed the episode and you gave you a few laughs. It certainly gave us some as well. And we shall see you all again next week.